And welcome back. I am Terry Ann Porter, hashtag Life Coach TA. Today I'm here to continue in my series of Why Toastmasters. You've heard me talk about Toastmasters in the various recordings that I've already done, or if we've spent any time together, I know you've heard about it because I talk about it a lot. Well, I've been introducing you to some of my Toastmasters friends. Today, I would like you to meet Stephanie Srader. I met Stephanie probably, I guess about 7.5 years ago when I first walked into Tower Talkers Toastmasters Club. She was in there, and that's where I got to start our meeting, our club sharing membership, and our friendship. Welcome, Stephanie. I'm so glad that you've chosen to join me.
Thank you, Terry Ann. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, I tell you what, well, let's get started. First of all, let's just get some of the basics out of the way. How long have you been in Toastmasters?
I have now been in Toastmaster since 2011. 12 years.
12 years. Now, I know a little bit about your story, so we're going to go ahead and get some basics out of the way, and I can't wait to dig into some of your story. Why did you even join Toastmasters in the first place?
Terry Ann, I am a big proponent of professional development, mentoring, making sure that we get the most that we can while we're employed as we can get. And I was trolling on our intranet, the company intranet, and I found on their site something about Toastmasters. I wasn't familiar with it, so I dug in a little bit and saw it was communication and leadership training, and it didn't cost very much. And I was on the employee advisory committee, so guess what I did? I went to our CIO and said, why don't we have this? Nashville has it. Can't we have Toastmasters here? And that set me on my journey. She said, I love Toastmasters. I was a Toastmaster in Nashville. And if you can get people interested in Toastmasters, we can start a club. And that started us out. By the time we had our demo meeting, which is the first meeting that you get to give an introduction of Toastmasters to the people that are in attendance, I had enough members that day at our demo meeting to become chartered.
Wonderful. Well, that was 12 years ago. And I know that you're a good speaker. I've listened to you. I know you're good in leadership. I have followed you now. I've been under your leadership. Why? You've got the skills. So why are you still in Toastmasters?
I have a lot more to learn. I am not the best speaker that is out there. I still fill my sentences with crutch words. I still have difficulty on occasion finding topics to write about and speak about. And I haven't found the right story yet that I want to leave. And I enjoy watching everybody else grow. I've seen you from your first meeting until now, and you've had such immense progress.
Oh, thank you.
You are such an ease in front of the camera now and doing podcasts and interviews. It's amazing to me. I'm proud to know you and to be involved with part of your learning and your growth. I stay now also in order to help others, to make sure that I am there for them, to ensure that they learn and get to be the best that they can be. And it also has given me some great opportunities for leadership that I didn't necessarily have in my current or former employer. I've learned how to manage meetings, lead large group of other leaders. And those were some very challenging and interesting tasks and responsibilities to learn. And with Toastmasters, you learn as you go.
Oh, yes. Now, speaking of leadership, as I recall, I had the honor of serving with you as you did some major leadership roles. What are some of the leadership roles that you held in Toastmasters? And what did you learn from those?
Actually, Terry Ann, I have held every role at the club level. I have been an area director twice, a division director twice. I have not been a club growth director, but I have been program quality director and district director, which is the highest level you can be before you go to the level outside of the district or outside of our Toastmasters region.
What is the number one thing you think you learned from being, well, let's start at the top, from being that district director?
Oh, goodness, Terry Ann. The year that I was district director, many other people don't know, but that's the year the pandemic hit. We went from being a thriving district, growing, and on our path to be President's Distinguished, to the day that the pandemic hit and COVID shut us down, and it shut us down fast. We had to come up with ways on the fly and immediately to be able to continue to let our Toastmasters meet and continue their education and leadership. And it was a huge challenge to then come up with Zoom, teach everybody how to use Zoom, get access to Zoom around the district. Oh my goodness, that was such a challenging year. And then our conference was canceled. We had to be virtual. Everything just shut down. I find myself still feeling that I wasn't successful, but when I talk myself through it, I know that I was as successful as I could have been under the circumstances that the world put us in.
You were hit with something that you could not plan for, totally unexpected and out of the blue, but you did step up and kept as many clubs going as could possibly go that we had control over. I know that we lost many corporate clubs because they were meeting at their businesses. People weren't going to their businesses. And a lot of things changed. I know that was a big challenge, and you led all the way through that. That is a tremendous mark that you need to put in your success column.
I know. I need to put it over into the success column, and I'm still working on that mindset.
It's easy to look back and say woulda, coulda, shoulda, but in the moment.
Exactly.
And you had in the moment decisions to make. And yes, I do know very well what you went through because at the time I was serving as your administration manager. Yes. I was behind the scenes with you, and I could see the struggle of that. And I got a lot of leadership tips and skills by watching that situation and how it was handled. So for myself, for my own professional and personal development, I know that was a lot for me. And that's what I do like about Toastmasters is how we can learn from each other. When you're in those moments, you had your team, you found out how to use them, and you found out what was available when you didn't know what was available, and handled the situation. I really like Toastmasters. in that manner. I've learned a lot in watching you and others within the organization.
That was probably the most challenging year. I think for myself, the most fun year I had was the year before when I was program quality director.
What made that so much fun?
That was fun in that I went all around the district. I went to every area contest, every division contest. We were training everybody. We were teaching leaders to be leaders.
Mm-hmm.
I was meeting so many new people. That was the year that I made myself get out, be in the front, and unhide myself.
Mm-hmm. And just a reminder, this was the year before we had the COVID issue. So when you say you went to everybody, you physically drove.
Yes.
Now, what is the area that District 22, we're in the same district, District 22 covers?
We are the entire state of Kansas and the western portion of Missouri.
So this was before COVID, before everything was Zoom. So you were driving everywhere and actually meeting people face to face.
Face to face. And that was a lot of fun. And I was able to get people to do the training. And when I say get them to do it, we were able to identify people that had the ability to train, the knowledge to train, and we had train the trainer classes. We brought people in that would give us special classes on what we needed to do to spice up our presentation so that people enjoyed the training as opposed to sitting down and having this boring, blasé training that a lot of times had happened in the previous years. Not every class had been boring before, don't get me wrong, but we were learning how to do it in a better way.
Great for personal and professional use, not just within Toastmasters, but take that information and take it to your business and take off.
And then I got to start going to the conventions. The conventions are so much fun. I was able to go to 2. And then, of course, the last one was canceled because of COVID. So that one didn't work out. It wasn't canceled. It was made hybrid, not hybrid. It was completely virtual.
Oh, how wonderful. Okay, now we've talked about the district type of leaderships. Let's go back to the clubs. Now, you and I are in the same club, Tower Talkers Toastmasters, and you mentioned that you held all of the roles. What does that mean?
Well, and I say that I held all of them, but let me step back one bit. I haven't ever been the sergeant at arms. The sergeant at arms is the person that's responsible for all of the club supplies. They open the meeting, they close the meeting. When we're virtual, they make sure that the Zoom meeting is up and running. When we were meeting in person, they set up the room. They made sure everything was ready so that when guests came in, that they had the best impression that we could give them. I was treasurer and secretary. With each meeting, we take notes. We send out letters, information. The treasurer, of course, keeps track of the club funds. I was the VP of PR for a couple of clubs, not this one yet.
I'll work with you on that one.
Exactly. That's on my to-do list to learn it more effectively so that I can do the best job possible to make sure it's out there in the public. I have been vice president education, which is always a fun role, especially when you have new members coming in and you're teaching them how to begin in Toastmasters and the path that they're going to take and how to do the roles, how the meetings run, what's available to them outside of the club. That's a lot of fun. And I have been president a handful of times.
Oh, wonderful. How have these skills helped you in your professional life?
I've learned how to run an effective meeting and use agendas and stay on task. Toastmasters has taught me to really listen well, which can also be a double edged sword, as I'm sure you're aware. When we listen to the politicians, when they're on the televisions and in debates, it's so hard to hear them now.
They have a few more filler words than we enjoy listening to.
A lot, a lot. And then also it has mentorship. I will say that in my current and my former employment, I am also an advocate and a proponent of mentorship. And there are a couple of young girls in our office, and I am right there for them to encourage them with teaching them what we need to learn to do our roles at work and how that will benefit them. And then there are a couple that I'm also working with to work outside of the employment as well for their professional development and their future career aspirations.
Sounds like Toastmasters has really helped you personally and professionally.
It has. I am able to speak much better, not as good as I could, but much better. When I first started, if I had to get up in front of people, my hands would be so sweaty and they would be shaking. I would have to hold them on the lectern or in my pockets because they were so shaky. My voice would be shaky. If I had to give anything emotional, then I would start to tear up. That's terrible. And it didn't even have to be something sad, just as if it was emotional, then I would start to tear up. And I've learned a lot of tips on how to limit that or decrease that from happening.
I do know one thing, that there is probably just a very small handful of speeches that I have heard you give that I don't recall. I recall so many because I really enjoy your speaking style and how you make them. Oftentimes when you give a presentation, you put a story into it, and I can just latch on to those stories, and I love those stories, and I can repeat those stories, or at least remember enough of them to make them memorable that I want to hear that one again. There's very few that you've told that I don't remember at least some portion of the story.
Thank you. I do have a way of being able to take personal potential tragedy or bad things that have happened and make them really funny now that it's gone.
Right. But after it's over. And I think that's one of the fun things about Toastmasters is you have the opportunity to practice those different styles and really find your voice.
And where else can you go and give a humorous speech, give a scary story that happened to you personally and make it funny, and also give a story that was written by somebody else that you can transform yourself into another person and just give a hilarious speech.
It has been so much fun. And I like when talking about giving those speeches, there was a phrase I heard, nobody's ever been fired for giving a bad Toastmaster speech.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
You've got a speech.
Evaluation, not fired.
You've got a speech that you need to give at work. What better place to practice than at Toastmasters? And you just mentioned evaluations. Get some good feedback. How did the audience interpret it? How did they accept it? What can I do to improve? You may not understand the technicalities of it, but what can I do to improve my presentation skill of it? What better place to practice? And then you go into your office and you do this fantastic presentation and everybody goes, wow. Well, what would be, if you had to give just one final word about Toastmasters, what would it be?
I would say come and visit our meeting. Tower Talkers Toastmasters. We meet the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. We're virtual. You can join from the comfort of your home or your office or anywhere in the world. There's no better place to be to learn communication and leadership skills or hone the skills that you already have. A great place to practice, meet new friends, lifelong friends, and improve yourself and meet people around the world.
I love that. That is one thing that Zoom has done. It has opened up to where we can have people from anywhere in the world join into the meetings.
Yes.
So thank you very much for joining me. I'm so honored that you were here. As Stephanie said, we're a part of Tower Talkers Toastmasters Club, and we do invite you to join us. Check out our website, get the Zoom link, and come and visit. I have enjoyed the many visits I've had with my Toastmasters friends. I have some more friends to introduce to you, and I can't wait for you to meet them. So until then, have a good week. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Terry Ann.